Hello everyone, let's have more news about the Lakers, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. The Los Angeles Lakers appear to be in search of a new big man, at last according to the latest NBA rumors. Yet, one veteran is unlikely to be heading to Los Angeles. The Lakers already missed out on Kristaps Porzingis as the Boston Celtics dealt the star to the Atlanta Hawks. Porzingis had been a popular name in hypothetical Lakers trade proposals prior to the blockbuster deal being revealed. Utah Jazz big man John Collins has spent the majority of his career being floated in NBA trade rumors. Collins is another name who has been linked to the Lakers, but it does not appear that Los Angeles is interested in the Jazz big man. NBA insiders Mark Stein and Jake Fisher reported that the Lakers are not interested in acquiring Collins despite rumors indicating otherwise. The news came less than 24 hours before the NBA draft begins, as trade rumors are heating up. To reiterate an item from Monday night's notes, the Lakers, I'm told, are not pursuing a trade for Utah's John Collins, despite reports suggesting otherwise, Stein and Fisher revealed in a June 24, 2025 story titled The Latest NBA Trade Talk, Free Agency Rumbles, and More on NBA Draft Eve. Utah is open to trading Collins this offseason, sources say, but his market is apparently still forming and might not take shape until after this week's draft proceedings. Thursday is the deadline for Collins to activate his $26.6 million player option for next season or bypass it to become a free agent. It remains to be seen if Collins is dealt, but still forming could be a nice way of saying Utah is not finding any suitors for the forward. During his 6 seasons with the Atlanta Hawks, Collins appeared to be mentioned annually in NBA trade rumors ahead of the deadline. Now let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.
Talking all about it. But let's talk about the latest on Andrew Wiggins, maybe a trade target for your Los Angeles Lakers. The Miami Herald saying that the Miami Heat are exploring trades for Andrew Wiggins and could deal him for an expiring contract in order to have max level cap space in 2026. So the Lakers, they are a team that can offer expiring salaries, and Andrew Wiggins would appear to be something of a fit for them. You look what the Lakers have. We know they've got, of course, Rui Hachimura. We'll talk about whether or not the Lakers should do a deal around him, but they also have expiring salaries in guys like potentially Austin Reeves. Personally, I wouldn't part with him for Andrew Wiggins, but nonetheless, he is an expiring salary. Then you've got Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleba making a little over $22 million combined in expiring money. So if the Lakers were to trade for Andrew Wiggins, what would they be getting and what would a deal look like? Would it actually be worth it? So Wiggins just turned 30 years old back in February, 6'8" wing. What I like is he does a lot of his defensive work on the perimeter, and that's really where the Lakers need the most defensive help. They simply have too many guys on their roster who are at their best when they're defending fours. Well, that's not really Andrew Wiggins. He's more of a guy who's going to defend threes. He's going to defend on the perimeter, and that's where he's going to see most of his usefulness. Now, offensively, ranks in the 53rd percentile among wings when he was playing with the Miami Heat in terms of points per shot attempt. That's okay. I mean, that is the definition of average, right? The 53rd percentile in terms of points per shot attempt. He's a guy who you have to respect behind the arc. Shot 36% from three as a Miami Heat, shot 36% from three as his career. Again, very average. That's typically right on league average, right around 36% from three. So is he a guy that teams are going to be scared of behind the arc? No, but he's good enough to where they have to defend him out there, and that may be all that matters. Now, did put up 19 points per game last season when he was with the Heat. That was only in 17 games, though. Was traded there from the Golden State Warriors in the Jimmy Butler deal. 18 points for rounding up with the Golden State Warriors this past season. I would expect the scoring to not be particularly high with the Lakers because they've got Luka, because they've got Austin, LeBron James, of course. You wouldn't need Andrew Wiggins to score quite as many points. So I think the scoring numbers might drop, but concurrently you would have the efficiency probably come up. He'd be getting good looks in the Lakers offense, 46% from the field. Could you get maybe 37% from three out of him on open look? Sure. I think that's within the realm of possibility. And again, all of that is just fine on the offensive end. But what you would really be trading for is Andrew Wiggins and his defense. That's what you'd be looking to get out of Andrew Wiggins. And you look at what he's done here on the glass, the rebounding that he can provide, particularly on the offensive glass. He's done a nice job there over the course of his career. Not as good on the defensive glass, even relative to his position as a wing. Not as good there on the defensive glass, 38th percentile with Miami, 20th percentile with Golden State. And you look over the course of his career, his defensive rebounding has just not been great relative to his peers, but the offensive rebounding has been fantastic. Does a nice job getting the long bounce, mid-range rebounds that the Golden State Warriors are known for. the three ball that gets missed and then lands around the free throw line, Wiggins can go and get those. And then the steal percentage you like, particularly with Miami. Golden State, he didn't gamble quite as much, but you also like for the position, the block percentage, 1 block per game, 98th percentile with Miami. Maybe that was a little bit high because of a small sample size, but still 82nd percentile with Golden State last season. So does a nice job timing things. Not like he's blocking multiple shots per game, but 1 block per game. He's at least somebody who can pick up some blocks for you. And then, as I said, positionally, he's somebody who does spend most of the bulk of his minutes at small forward. And if you look at over the course of his career, he's been much more effective as a small forward than as a power forward or as a shooting guard. He does have a little bit of positional versatility, but he really is a three. Whereas a guy like, say, Rui Hachimura, you can look at and say, is his best position maybe actually power forward? He fit in fairly well with the Lakers at the three, but Andrew Wiggins is more of a true, definitive small forward. That's what he is. He's going to make a lot of his money defending on the perimeter out there. That's not quite what Rui Hachimura is. He's more of a 3-4, perhaps sometimes even a 4-5. And so if we're talking about replacing Rui Hachimura's role and the Lakers needing more perimeter defense, Andrew Wiggins could make some sense in that regard. The only one concern, though, with all of this is Wiggins, his on-off numbers. He's been a net negative for the last few seasons on his teams, whether it was the Warriors or the Miami Heat. They've been better with him off the floor than on. And then you look at Golden State season before last, the defensive numbers certainly not encouraging there. And the same thing with Miami. But he has gone through some stuff. And if you think you're getting the best version of Andrew Wiggins out there with the Los Angeles Lakers, he does make sense as a target. I think that positionally, I think that skill set wise, he is a fit with this team. So then how do you make a trade work for Andrew Wiggins? Well, the Lakers, they do have these expiring salaries. Now, Miami is already rumored to have tried to get into the mix on Kevin Durant using Andrew Wiggins as well as other assets. I think that's their preferred route. That will always be the preferred route of the Miami Heat, is to chase the big names. But the rumor being that they want to clear salary to make a run in free agency in 2026. Now, ironically, one of the guys that they would be targeting in 2026 would be Luka Doncic if he actually is available and out there on the market. Another player would be Austin Reeves. Now, Luka, the Lakers hope will sign an extension coming up here in August 2nd. He can sign that extension. And assuming he does sign that, which right now we have every indication to believe that he will, that will take him off the market. But then that would also give Miami less incentive to trade away Andrew Wiggins to open up cap space for the summer of 2026. And then Austin Reeves, the same thing. He will be offered a contract extension. I'm quite confident of that this summer, but it will still be below market value. So Reeves actually has some financial incentive to wait until next summer in free agency. And that's when teams like perhaps the Miami Heat, with plenty of cap space, could come calling for Austin. So that's a little bit of a tricky situation here, where if you're the Lakers and you're worried at all about losing, say, Luka, or more specifically Austin Reeves, more likely Austin Reeves to be actually a free agent in the summer of 2026, well, you would be making a move here that would open up cap space for the Miami Heat to potentially go after your player. Now, that said, if you were to do a trade for Andrew Wiggins, you'd be taking on salary into 2026 for the Lakers. Right now, their books are very, very clean that year. So they've got a lot of room to maneuver. If we're looking to truly turn the page, and I do think they're going to make moves, I don't know if it'll be today, but they're going to make moves in the next few weeks to try to make this team fit around Luka as best as they can. That's now the plan for this team. It's all about building around Luka, but maintaining flexibility for the summer of 2026 is not something we should just dismiss or try to undersell, because that's where you could truly have the opportunity to pivot this team and change the structure of it around Luka Doncic. So it is significant that Andrew Wiggins does have a player option for the 26-27 season, and that would limit some of the Lakers' flexibility that summer. So that's not something that we should undersell as something the Lakers would have to consider in any trade that would bring in Andrew Wiggins and any other player that has longer term salary on the books, particularly if they're going to be giving up expiring contracts in order to facilitate that. Now, obviously, from the Lakers' perspective, I think the preferred option would be to trade 2 expirings in Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber, and then Jared Vanderbilt, and see if you can clear that salary off the books. You're essentially taking 3 bench players that you've got and turning them into one solid rotation guy in Andrew Wiggins. The Lakers do need depth, and so maybe there's a little bit of a concern there. You'd have to have another plan to fill your backup guard position as well. But nonetheless, I think that would be the preferred path for the Lakers. If I'm the Miami Heat, though, I'm saying, no, I want Rui Hachimura in the deal, and then Gabe Vincent or Maxi Kleba, and then maybe Dalton Connect. Maybe it's draft capital, something like that they would want in addition. Now, could the Lakers say, well, we're giving you just pure expirings, we're giving you Rui, and let's call it Gabe Vincent, who used to be with the Miami Heat. Maybe his powers will return back in Miami, and then we're going to absorb another $30 million in salary for next year. So if you guys want any kind of assets in addition to that, go take a hike. We're not doing that. Potentially, I think there is a little bit of leverage there from the Lakers situation. So could you get a better fitting player without having to give up too much in terms of draft capital, future assets, things of that nature? Get Andrew Wiggins. Maybe you have to part with Rui Hachimura to do it, but perhaps Andrew Wiggins is the better fit anyway, and then go from there. Yeah, look, that does make some sense to me from the Lakers side of things. Of course, the ideal option would be to do it without including Rui Hachimura, but that may simply not be realistic depending on what it is that the Miami Heat are after. Now, finally, while Andrew Wiggins could certainly help with the Lakers' perimeter defense, let's remember, if you're going to do this trade, you also need to, if you're the Lakers, be cognizant of having enough left over to still go and fix the center position where you need at least one, maybe two bigs. I think it's two. Plus, you need to go find a defensive guard as well, whether that's Gabe Vincent or otherwise, you would need to fill that hole too. So that's the other thing the Lakers would have to be aware of in all of this. Whatever they were to give up to get Andrew Wiggins, would they then be able to pivot and still fill the remaining needs on the roster? But I do think it makes some sense if the Miami Heat's goal is truly just to clear salary for next summer and the Lakers are okay with maybe the risk of putting Miami in a position to where they could target Austin Reeves and other top players out there on the market, then I think there would be some synergy between the two clubs. Maybe it is time for Rob Pelinka to call up our old friend Pat Riley and see what he can get done to bring Andrew Wiggins to LA. But Lakers Nation, give me your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about Andrew Wiggins as a potential target for the Los Angeles Lakers? Is that a deal that you think is worth exploring? Again, give me your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe right here to the channel. Till next time, see you and stay safe.
In February. I've said this a couple different times. I do think that's the perfect blueprint for the Lakers. Go get a young big, a young center, a defensive-minded center, can be a lob threat as well. Somebody that can really, really have impact like the Lakers did not have in rebounding, in block shots, playing defense, and bring somebody in at an age that can be with the Lakers for 3, 4, 5 years. That, to me, what they were trying to do with Mark Williams, I think was that's the game plan that they should follow, and I hope Rob Pelinka follows that similar game plan as we get, obviously the offseason has started, and we'll see what happens from here. There was one report this morning that I saw that the Lakers are still showing significant interest, and by the way, this is coming from somebody who covers the Utah Jazz, Andy Larson, Utah Jazz and NBA beat writer for the Salt Lake Tribune. I'll read his exact tweet. Given up multiple picks to get there, that is on the table right now. I don't know if the Jazz take it. Certainly, they haven't so far. I've had this conversation with a few different people. We've had this conversation with some different beat writers and people that do have at least a connection of what's going on. And the conversation has always been the Lakers just don't have what the Utah Jazz want. Does that change? Are the Lakers able on draft night to go make some kind of a move to change that script and to change that conversation? I don't know. I don't have that answer for you. But what I will say is if they found a way to land Walker Kessler, again, I'm not sitting here trying to tell everybody that it is going to happen, that it's guaranteed it's going to happen. That's not the point. You guys know my style. What I'm telling you is conceptually what the Lakers need. The idea of building for today, but also keeping tomorrow in mind. Understanding that there is life after LeBron James now that you got Luka Doncic. A player like Walker Kessler, if they're able to figure out a way to get the trade package that the Utah Jazz want, I think that would be so significant. And clearly, I think for those who are Laker fans and are thinking past today or next year, or there is going to be a time when LeBron James is no longer a Los Angeles Laker, and you want to try to get players that you feel like you can build for the future. We'll see how that all pans out. But the two things that I took away early this morning that I want to start the show with, if Jaylen Brown is available, I don't know what the hell to tell you, but keep an eye out where he could end up going. And can the Lakers put together a package that's attractive enough for Walker Kessler? So far, the case is that has been a no. And can Rob Pelinka and figure out, and by the way, I don't know how much new ownership is stepping in right now and saying, listen, let's figure this out. Let's figure that out. How do we make this happen? That the Lakers can make that happen. Okay, 2 questions for you on the Utah Jazz, specifically Walker Kessler. Number one, maybe we've had conversations about Walker Kessler in the past. Number one, your thoughts on him and his fit, the concept of that type of player, his fit with the Lakers. And number two, do you think the Lakers will have enough to actually, I was reading off a tweet this morning, Andy Blarson, who covers the Utah Jazz, he said the Lakers still showing significant interest in Walker Kessler, giving him multiple picks to get there. That's on the table right now. I don't know if the Jazz take it. Certainly they haven't so far. Do you feel like all this has just been chatter, and when the dust settles, there's just not going to be a Walker Kessler on the Lakers? And I guess that's one question. The other question would be, how would you feel if the Lakers were able to put the proper pieces together, and maybe they got to go make a trade somewhere else to get another draft asset and then, trade that over? How would you feel if Walker Kessler was a Laker?
Yeah, I think Utah has been very reluctant to move him for some time now. They only want to deal him if they're getting a massive overpay, which is their right. They do have to pay him next summer. So, and I believe he may even be extension eligible this summer. So that will be maybe a test for them. Do they want to be the team to pay him? Clearly, the Blazers did not want to be the team to pay Anthony Simons on his next contract. We saw the Pelicans didn't want to be the team to pay Brandon Ingram. Sometimes that kind of stuff comes up, but all indications are that Walker Kessler, the Jazz, they like him. They want him there. What's his tolerance for tanking? Is that what the Jazz plan to do again? There's some messaging out there to suggest the opposite, but I do think that Utah is going to demand top dollar for Walker Kessler. I don't know that the Lakers are going to be able to pay that price. Particularly, look, if Dalton Knecht in a first was going to get it done, it would already be done right now.
Of course,
he would already be a Laker. And so obviously that's not enough. So what is enough? And do the Lakers have enough to realistically make that move and still build out the rest of their roster? It's not, because you can't just get Walker Kessler and then say, okay, cool, we're good. We're fine that we've just given up everything we've got in order to get him. So for the Lakers strategically, unless they can get the Jazz to budge on this price a little bit here, I would be surprised if they actually do wind up with Walker Kessler. I will say he's the top of my list. He's number one in terms of the semi-realistically available names that are out there.
The concept.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple things that he does really well. Could you get a more athletic, springy guy? Sure, you certainly could. But the rebounding presence that he gives you, and what I really love about Walker Kessler's game, is he's got a combination of two things, Alan. He is a elite shot blocker, but he is also elite at low foul percentage. That means that's an incredible combination. You've got a guy that swats tons of shots and does it without picking up fouls. And that's such a key distinction. You get guys that pick up fouls, chasing after blocks, trying to increase that stat. That's not Walker Kessler. He does a really nice job staying in position, being where he needs to be, and yet still being a massive deterrent at the rim. And I think defensively, that's something this Lakers team could definitely use. Plus, you add in his age, perfect fit with Luka in terms of the timeline. I think Walker Kessler will be a great fit for the Lakers long term. Can they actually get a deal done there? I'm still skeptical just because the Jazz want so much, and I don't blame them. I think he's a very good, very talented player, and if he did wind up a Los Angeles Laker, I would be ecstatic.
Yeah, I keep saying this. I think the concept that the Lakers had in mind for Mark Williams of that type of a player, age-wise, what he brings to the table, I think you and I have talked about it as well. If they went out and got a Clint Capella, cool. Clint Capella's coming off the bench for you. You're not the idea of grabbing a player at that age and could be there for years to come, I think is the right concept. I guess the question is just going to continue to come down to, will they be able to make a deal? And like you said, the Jazz are going to be asking for a lot for him. How do you feel right now? We're sitting here Wednesday, June 25th. I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling / gut, all this movement in the NBA. I do feel like something will happen with the Lakers. I know something has to happen. How do you feel about their position right now? All this movement in the league. Do you feel Pelinka? Do you feel the front office? Do you feel they'll be able to walk away when the dust settles and you'll look at this roster and say, okay, not perfect. Understand LeBron will be 41 and you're still kind of, obviously juggling all that. But do you feel like they'll be able to accomplish their main goals by the time we're sitting here in a few weeks?
Is that your dream right now, Al? Is that where we're at? That the dream scenario is, okay, this is not a perfect roster, but okay, we'll be okay with this.
Trev, would you agree with this? I don't know if they can. I don't think they could put together a perfect roster based on their situation.
No,
I think if you told me, and again, this is, nothing at Bron. Bron's doing everything that he can, but you can't. I don't know if they could fully rebuild and build around Luka until LeBron is off that roster. And there's, I think they could do what they could, trying to figure out, doing the best they can with the ingredients they have, I guess you can call it. But I don't know if there's a perfect roster that we can walk away from and be like, all right, that's the roster for the next 3-4 years. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I'm ultimately in agreement with you, and I'm glad you're grounded in that, because I do think a lot of the fans expect this. They're going to add all these pieces. They're going to get this perfect big that fits just right. They're going to get a great backup. They're going to get a defensive guard. They're going to get a wing. I don't know that they've got the assets to do all of that. Now, in a world where Luka Doncic is a Laker, we've learned to never say never, right? But
yeah, sure.
Most likely, it's going to be more of one or two pieces that are going to be added to the team, more kind of moves in the margins, things of that nature. Can the Lakers do that and accomplish that? Yeah, and I think I'm already seeing the fan sentiment shift dramatically, and I think you've seen it too. The pessimism that is already taking over, and a lot of it is just kind of FOMO, right? We're seeing all these other teams, over a third of the NBA has made a trade, and sure. I'm getting all the Rob Pelinka sleeping memes. I'm getting people using AI to create pictures of Rob Pelinka sleeping in front of the Disneyland castle, and because he's just on vacation, and all kinds of great stuff, because I love the creativity that's out there. But
pretty sure Pelinka's not at Disneyland at the moment.
No, he is not in line for a churro right now. No, he's
good
not.
Churros, by the way.
Yeah, fantastic. No question. But I do think that the Lakers are doing a better job at moving in silence. You look at the Luka trade. I think that's certainly evidence of that. I'm not that surprised that they're not in the heart of like trade rumors and things like that. And people are taking that as evidence that they aren't active out there. I don't think that's the case. I think they're active. Will they be able to get something done? We'll see. Remember, they're in a position where everybody knows they need a center. Everybody knows what they need, and everybody knows what they were just willing to pay to get one just a few months ago with the Mark Williams trade. So that's not an easy situation to be in, but I do think that given how badly they're going to want to show Luka a roster that is ready to go on August 2nd when they ask him to sign that extension, I think that's plenty of motivation for them to go out there and get something done. I think we do see activity here from the Lakers, and if people want to be mad at, where's Rob? What's going on? Be mad at them like July 10th. Summer League starts and they haven't done anything. Be mad at the Lakers then. Let's wait and see what they're cooking for right now.
All right. Thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our.
Kevin Durant's blockbuster trade to the Houston Rockets on Sunday sent shockwaves through the NBA, and one high-profile suitor reportedly folded before the deal went through. The Miami Heat were reportedly in on Durant but ultimately pulled back, unwilling to part with key young players like Kelly Ware and Nikola Jovic plus draft picks via Miami Herald's Barry Jackson, a decision that has been heavily criticized by fans and analysts. Following Durant's move to Houston, reports surfaced via Clutch Point's Brett Siegel that Miami has now made veteran forward Andrew Wiggins available in trade discussions, although it's unclear if the front office is keen on pursuing a star or trading for picks. Amid these new reports, NBA insider Anthony Irwin confirmed that the Lakers checked in with Miami about Wiggins, seeking clarity on whether the Heat would entertain a deal. I will say that the Lakers, again, because of their relationship with Pat Riley, are very well in tune with what Pat thinks about Wiggins, Irwin said. The Lakers have checked in on him. They have asked about what the price would be. Wiggins, who is on a 4-year, $109 million deal running through 2027, joined Miami in February's 5-team swap that sent Jimmy Butler to the Golden State Warriors. Last season, Wiggins averaged 18.0 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.6 assists in 60 games. Since being drafted number 1 overall in 2014, Wiggins won the Rookie of the Year in 2015, was named an All-Star in 2022, and also helped the Warriors to an NBA championship that same year. While the Lakers' most pressing need right now is a lob threat big man, a potential trade for Wiggins would greatly improve the team's frontcourt. Pairing the 30-year-old with LeBron James and Luka Doncic could drastically improve Los Angeles' wing defense and shooting spacing. And you, fan, what do you think about Andrew Wiggins' situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.